Today we are looking at the most recent math class paper. You'll notice the date here is May 12, 2021. But of course the exam was actually done on July 7th, which was just yesterday. Let us just jump right into it. So question 1a, we have a fraction question here. So we could rewrite this 1 4/7 as 7 times 1. 7 plus 4, that's what, 11. 11 over 7. Divide, and of course we can times, and we reciprocate fraction on the right hand side there. Minus 7 ones, 7 plus 5, that's 12 upon 7. So multiplying these two fractions, 11 times 3, that's 33. 7 times 2, that's 14. Minus 12 upon 7. So now we are subtracting. We need denominators to be the same, so we can make this denominator 14 by multiplying by 2, and of course for the fraction to remain equivalent we have to multiply numerator also by 2, so we end up with 33 upon 14 minus 2 times 12, that's 24 upon 14. So we subtract 33 minus 24, that's 9. So our solution is 9 upon 14. Part B, when Megan started working, she was paid $85 each week. And after 6 months probation, her pay was increased by 20%. How much was she paid each week after the increase? So of course the new salary, the new pay, new wages, whatever, would be $85 plus 20% plus the increase, which would be 20% of the original $85, right? So this would be 85 plus and 20% of 85. That's 20 into 100. That's 1 and 5. So of course 5 into 85 is 17. So of course 85 plus 17, that's $102. So Megan's new salary would have been $102 after the increase. In 1965, the population of country A was 2,714,000. In 2015, it was 3,663,900. Write the population in 2015, which would be this. Correct the 3 significant figures. And of course, 3 significant figures. So it's 3, 6. We want one more non-zero number. Notice 6. So of course, 363 million. All right. 600, and of course we'll keep the 6. We'll keep the 6, of course, right? 660. All right, since this is the closest value, where we have 3 non-zero, 3 leading non-zero numbers. All right. In 1965, the population in standard form. 1965, this was it. So standard form. How many places do we need to move decimal places now? See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That seems like 6. So it's 2.714 times 10 to the 6. Part 2, here we're asked to determine the percentage increase in the population from 1965 to 2015. So the percentage increase, of course. So the percentage increase would be, of course, the increase over the original value in 1965, of course, times 100. Now, how do we get the increase? Notice the original the new population was this figure, and the original was 2,714,000. So to get the increase, of course, we find the difference between those two values. So the increase would be 3663 upon 900 minus 2714 upon the original population in 1965, which would have been 2714 times, of course, times 100. Now this is equal to the numerator. Let's do the subtraction. So we end up with 900 upon 2714 times 100. So this would be equal to, divide, we get 2714 times 100. So divide, we get 0.35, multiply. So the increase was 35%. Percentage increase. Part D, the ratio of teachers to male students to female students is 3 to 17. So teachers to male students to female students, they are in the ratio 3 to 17 to 18. We're also told that the total number of students in the school is 630. So the total number of students, notice the number of students. Notice M is for male students, F for female students. So in this ratio, the total number of students would be 35, right? And the entire total here is 38. So the 35 over 38, that's a fraction representing the number of everybody in the school, including teachers and students. Teachers and students, you get 38, and students, of course, would be male and female students. So 35 over 38 times the number of persons in the school, including teachers and students, so 35 over 38 give us a fraction of 630. Right, since number of students is 630. Number of students is 35 of the 38. Right, so let's solve for n. To solve for n, we can, how can we do now? We can times both sides by 38 and divide both sides by 35. Notice what happened. This time it's reciprocal, we end up with n. And then 630, let's do the calculation. 630 times 38 divided by 35, we end up with 684. And this n equals 684 represent the total number of persons in the school, including teachers and students. And we are told, so the number of teachers, therefore, the number of teachers would be therefore equal to 630, well, 684 minus the 630, we end up with 54. So 54 teachers are in the school. Let's move on to question 2, A1. So n equal to square root of t. Find the value of n when t equal to 49. So n is the square root of t, which is 49, right? Therefore, n is equal to 7. Make t the subject of the formula. Remember that n is equal to the square root of t. Of course, you can square both sides. So n times itself is n squared. And root t by itself is t. So t is equal to n squared. Now to 2b, Ali is X years. Jim is 5 years older than Ali. So Jim's age will be X plus 5. Chris is twice as old as Ali. So Chris would be Ali's X, so Chris would be 2x. in 2 years' time, the product of Ali's age and Chris' age will be the same as the square of Jim's present age. Show that the equation x squared minus 4x minus 21 equal to 0 represents the information given above. So, in 2 years' time, the product of Ali's age and Chris' age will be the same as the square of Jim's present age. Alright. Let's read again. In 2 years' time, the product of Ali's age. So in 2 years' time, Ali's age, remember Ali is now x. So in 2 years' time, Ali's age will be x plus 2. So the product of Ali's age, so this is Ali's age, x plus 2. And Chris' age, in 2 years' time, Chris' age would be what? 2x plus 2. So Chris' age is now 2x. In 2 years' time, it's 2x plus 2. So the product of Ali's age, so this is Ali's age, and this is Chris' age, right? In 2 years' time, will be the same as the square of Jim's present age. Jim's present age is x plus 5. So the square of Jim's present age, so it's x plus 5 square. Let's expand and see what we get. So let's expand. So x times x, that's 2x squared. X times 2, that's 2x. Then 2 times 2x, that's 4x. And 2 times 2, that's positive 4 squared. This is x plus 5 times itself. So this is x plus 5 times itself. If you want to do the rough work, is x plus 5 times x plus 5. This, of course, will work out to be x squared plus 10x plus 25. Let us group the like terms. So if we group all the x squared term, notice we have a 2x squared here, so we have 2x squared. Group with this, we end up with minus x squared. Group in the x's, we have 2x and we have 4x, that's what, 6x. And then group with this 10x, it's minus 10x. Here we have positive 4. Group with this positive 25, it's minus 25 equal to 0. So 2x squared minus x squared, that's 1x squared. Plus, well, not plus, is 6 minus 4. 6 minus 10, that's negative 4, right? So 6x minus 10x, that's minus 4x. And 4 minus 25, that's minus 21. Which is what we're asked to prove, right? So that's done. So calculate Ali's present age. So to get Ali's present age, of course, we need to find the value of x. Now here, from this equation, let me just rewrite the equation here. We can use it to find x. So we have several ways we can solve this equation. We can use a quadratic formula, or we can use factorization. So to use factorization, we have to come up with two numbers that multiply to give minus 21 and add to give minus 4, and that's obviously negative 7 and positive 3, right? So we can rewrite the middle term as minus 7x plus 3x. We have our minus 21 there. So we factor by groups. First pair, we have x into x minus 7. The second pair, we have 3 into x minus 7. And with x minus 7 is our common factor. We have x plus 3. And then we equate both brackets to 0. So we have x minus 7 is equal to 0. Or x plus 3 is equal to 0. Here, if we solve x equal to minus 3, which of course is not possible, because a person's age cannot be negative, right? And if we solve it, this one, we have x equal to 7. So, x is equal to 7. What is Ali's present age? Remember Ali's present age. So remember Ali. So now we are on to question 3. We are asked to find the value of angle PRQ. Now of course we know angles in a triangle add to give 180, right? So angle Q, this is 90. Angle P is 62. And when you add angle R, the total should be equal to 180. Good? So this is angle R, right? So this is 152 plus angle R should be equal to 180. So if we subtract 152 from both sides, r is 180 minus 152, which is 28. So the size of angle r is 28 degrees. Next, we are asked to find the length of the side RQ. RQ, and of course RQ would represent the adjacent to angle R, right? So RQ, we can use, well, RQ would represent this is the adjacent, right? This is the adjacent side to the 28 degrees here. So, and of course we have the hypotenuse, which is what RP is. So of course we can use the cosine ratio. So cosine of 28 is the adjacent, which is RQ, upon the hypotenuse, which is 11, the longest side, right? So if we times both sides by 11, we should be able to calculate RQ. So we times the left hand side by 11, the right hand side by 11. Alright, that into that. So left with RQ is equal to 11 times cos 28, which is equal to 9.71 to 3 significant figures. Right? So 9.71 for RQ. So now we're on to part B. Diagram below shows 3 triangles. Triangle X, the triangle X, as we can see here. Triangle Y is here. And here we can see triangle Z. Now what are they asking us to do now? So we are told that the triangle X is mapped onto triangle Y by a reflection. State the equation of the mirror line, and we're asked to describe the reflection that maps X to Y, and the transformation that maps X to Z. So let's do it. So X to Y and then X to Z. So the transformation that maps X to Y, notice, look at X, look at Y, and this one should be pretty obvious. It's actually a reflection in the X-axis. Alright, so the reflection that maps X to Y is actually a X-axis reflection. So that would be your answer for that. And X to Z, notice it's not a reflection, but there's no symmetry there. It's not an enlargement because the size is the same. It's not a translation, because if it was a translation, then X would have the same shape. Alright, same shape, size, everything. So it's obviously was a rotation. Let's try to get the angle of the rotation. Now let's look at corresponding side. It's obviously a rotation. Here, so the transformation mapping X to Z is actually a rotation. And of course, it's an anti-clockwise, as we can see there. So the anti-clockwise rotation. Notice the center. Center is 0, 0, or the origin. Anti-clockwise 90 degrees rotation. And how do we know it's 90 degrees? If this is the center, right? This is the center, origin. If we draw a line from the center to this point here, and also to this corresponding point here, the angle between is 90 degrees. Alright, or if we should draw a line from, let me just erase this. If we should draw a line from the origin to another corresponding point, choose this point here, and to the corresponding image point here, which would be here, then this angle, of course, would be 90 degrees. So to fully describe the transformation mapping X to Z is an anti-clockwise rotation, anti-clockwise 90 degrees rotation with center 0, 0. And from the this triangle X to triangle Y, this one is more straightforward, is a X-axis, is a reflection in the X-axis. Next, we're asked to translate triangle Y using the vector -7, 1. and we are told to label this image as V. So we translate in triangle Y, meaning negative 7, 1. Remember the top value is X, or the horizontal movement, and the second value is the vertical movement. So negative 7, so each point in triangle Y, each vertex would be moved 7, negative 7. That means 7 to the left, and 1 up. Let's do this. So negative 7 is, or you could say add negative 7, 1 to each point. So triangle Y, triangle X. So we translate in triangle Y using the vector, translation vector, minus 7, 1. So each is triangle Y, so I'm going to move each point 7 places to the left and 1 unit up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 up. So now this point will be the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 up. So the translation, and this vertex 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 up. So notice each vertex will move 7 places to the right, to the left, and 1 up. And notice, so this is our new triangle. And notice the triangle, when triangle Y is translated, is really the exact same shape and size. Alright, so when you translate a shape, it doesn't change. You just move from one location to another. We're asked now to label this triangle as V. What else are we asked to do? And then on the same diagram, enlarge triangle X about the center 0, 0 with scale factor half. About the center 0, 0, scale factor half. And we're asked now to label this image as double. Alright, so we're going to enlarge triangle X, scale factor half. Let's do this. So here is triangle X. Let me just clear it up. So here's triangle X. Let's enlarge it now with scale factor half. Center 0, 0. Now, we would simply do this by just multiplying each coordinate by half. So notice this coordinate here is 0, 2. Half of 2 is 1. So the new coordinate here by 1, right? This corresponding, this point here is 4, 4. So of course the new point would be half of 4, 4, which is 2, 2. And this point here is 6, 2. This point here is 6, 2, right? So this was 4, 4. So half of 4, 4 would 2, 2. Half of 6, 2 would be 3, 1. So 3, 1. And you'll notice, because the scale factor is less than 1, you'll notice it's actually smaller. But we still call it an enlargement. Alright, we're also label this triangle double. Alright, so that's that. Question 4. The diagram below shows two lines, L1 and L2, as we can see there. The equation of L1 is x plus 2y equal to 10. The line L2 passes through the point 0, minus 5, as we can see here, and is perpendicular to L1, meaning the angle formed is a right angle, 90 degrees. Good. Express the equation L1 in the form y equal mx plus c. So that'll be a transposition there. Alright, so L1 is x plus 2y equal to 10. We're transposing for y, so we can 2y, subtract x from both sides, 2y will be 10 minus x, and now we can divide each term by 2. To make y the subject, we can divide each term by 2, so we end up with y, 10 divided by 2, that's 5, minus x upon 2, or remember x is 1x, so it's half x. That's another way to write it, or to express it. So y equal to 5 minus x upon 2. If you want to put the x in front, you could rewrite and say this is minus half x, if you prefer, plus 5, to get it in this form. So of course the m is represented by a negative half, and c would be equal to 5. which takes us to part 2. Take the gradient of L1. So of course the gradient of L1, the m here, the gradient will be equal to minus a half. Next. Hence, determine the equation of the line L2. Let's go back up to our diagram and try to find the equation of L2. Now, to find the equation of any line, of course, you need. So L2, the equation of L2, of course, will be in the form y equal mx plus c, where m is the gradient. Now, L2 is perpendicular to L1. Remember, the gradient for L1 was minus a half. So the gradient of L2 would be the negative reciprocal, which would be 2. Reciprocate minus half and change the sign, you'll end up with positive 2, right? So here, m is equal to 2, so 2x. And c is where the graph cuts the y-axis. L2 cuts the y-axis where? At the point 0, negative 5. So here, negative 5 would be the value where the graph intercept the y-axis. That's what c is, the y-intercept. So minus 5. So equation of L2 would be y equal to 2x minus 5. Part B, f of x is 1/3 x plus 4. G of x is 3x upon x plus 1. So f of 9, we use this function by replacing x with the term in the bracket, which is 9. So it's 1/3 x become 1/3 times 9 plus 4. 1/3 of 9, that's 3 plus 4. So our answer there is 7. Calculate the value of fg of minus 3. So fg of minus 3. Let's first calculate g of minus 3. Now, g of minus 3, to get the value of g of minus 3, we can replace x with minus 3 in the function g here. So g of minus 3, so it's 3 times x become 3 times minus 3 upon x plus 1. So that's minus 3 plus 1. That's minus 9 upon, that's minus 2. That's positive 4.5. So g of 3 is 4.5. So fg of minus 3 is equivalent to finding f. Now g of minus 3, we just found that to be 4.5. So substitution, replacing g of minus 3 with what it's equal to, 4.5. So fg of minus 3 is same as f of 4.5. Now f of 4.5, remember what f of x was? F of x was a 1/3 x plus 4. So it's 1/3 4.5 plus 4. Which is equal to, let me just use 9 over 2 instead of, so it's 1/3, 4.5, that's 1/3 of 4.5, that's 1.5, right? That's 1.5. Plus 4, so our solution there is 5.5. Next, determine the value of x for which g of x is equal to 5 over 2. Now g of x, remember g of x was, what was g of x? G of x was 3x over x plus 1. G of x is 3x upon x plus 1. So 3x upon x plus 1 is equal to 5 upon 2. Alright, so we can just simply cross multiply there, right? So 2 times 3x, that's 6x. And 5 times x plus 1, remember, so 5 times the x. So both terms, 5 times 1. Alright, now we transpose or solve for x. We have 6x minus 5x is equal to 5. So x is equal to 5. So when x is 5, and you can test it, when x is 5, g of x is 5 over 2. You see? Alright, when x is 5, g of x, g of 5, g 5, that's 15. 5 plus 2, 5 plus 1, that's 6. And if we divide numerator and denominator by 3 to reduce this, this would be 9 upon 2. Alright, so when x is 5, g of x is reduced to 9 upon 2. Sorry, 5 upon 2 is 3 into 15, 5, right? And 3 into 6, 2. So when x is 5, it's 5 upon 2, alright? Let's move on. Question 5. 100 students were surveyed on the amount of money they spent on data for their cell phones during a week. The table below shows the results as well as a midpoint for each class interval. Using the table, determine the modal class of the amount of money spent. So modal class is the one with the highest frequency. That's this one. So the modal class here, the class here will be, what's that here, right? Between 70 and 80. That's part A. Part B, calculate an estimate of the mean amount. Now in part B, we are asked to find the mean amount of money spent, and the formula for mean, formula here is sum of fx upon sum of f, or you could replace sum of f with n, or the number of students, right? Total number of students, right? So sum of f, if you add all these values, you should get 100, right? N. So sum of f or n is 100, and we're told that we're given this information, right? 100 students. Now let's find fx. Create a new column for fx, right? So fx is f times x, so 7 times 55, that's 385, right? 11 times 65, that's 715. 31 times 75, that's 2325. And 29 times 85, that's 2465. And 22 times 95, that's 2090. Alright, so to create a new column with these values, of course. And then we sum of fx, which is the total of all the values in the fx column. So that's 385 plus 715 plus 2325 plus 2465 plus 2090 and to 7,980. That's the sum of fx. So the total, the mean, is the sum of fx, which is 7,980 upon the total amount of students, which is 100. We end up with 79.8. That's the mean amount of money spent, $79.80. Damien reports that the median amount spent is $84. Briefly explain why Damien's report could be correct. So Damien is claiming the median is 84. Remember, the median is the middle value. And we're talking about 100 students. So 7 and 11, that's what? 18. Let's do the cumulative frequencies. 7 and 11, that's 18. 18 and 31, that's 49. So median, you're talking about 100 students, the median would be between the 50th and 51st student. So 49 up to here, so the 50 would fall in this interval here. The amount between the 50th and 51st. So it would fall between 80 and 90, right? So the median would fall on the interval. Let's follow on this interval, right? Hence 84 is 84 could be the correct median. So in part B we have a two-way contingency table. So boy, notice the total we're asked to complete the table by inserting the missing values. Notice boy, the total for boy is 48. So all these values in this row must add to give 48. So 15 and 14, that's what, 29. How much do I need to make 48 now? 19. So this would be 19. Those who walk, the total is 23. So all the values in this column must be equal to give us 23. So this would have to be 8, right? 15 plus 8 gives us 23. Yes, it does. Total here, 19 plus 18, that's what, 37. We add these values, 18 plus 8, that's 26. 26 plus 26, that's 52. Let's double check. 48 plus 52 should give us 100. And these three values should give us 100 also, right? 23 plus 37, that's 60. 60 plus 40, that's 100. So that's our table completed. A student is selected at random. What's the probability that he or she or the student was being driven to school that day? So that's the probability that it was given to school that day. So we're looking drive. Alright, so the probability for drive, how many students were driven, was 40, and of course the total was 100. So we can leave it like that, or we can write that as 40%, or we can write that as 0.4. Either have decimal or percentage, or a fraction, whichever, or 2/5. Next, one of the girls is selected at random. What's the probability that she did not cycle at school? So if she didn't cycle, it means that she either walk or drive, right? For walk, it's 23. For drive, it's 40. So that's 63 upon 100, right? So the probability here would be 63 upon 100, or 0.63, or 63%. Question 6. Farmer Brown make troughs to feed his farm animals using wood that is 5 centimeters thick. Alright, so that's Farmer Brown's trough. Notice it's a rectangular form of a cuboid there with an open top. Alright. So as shown in the diagram below, the troughs are rectangular base, open at the top, and have external dimensions of 300 by 190 by 160, as we can see. Show by calculation that the internal capacity of the trough is this large value here. Internal capacity, of course, we're talking about volume, and volume is, for this shape here, the length times breadth, or length times width times height. Now, some key information here. Remember, the wood was 5 centimeters thick. It's 5 centimeters thick, right? That's very important. So, I talk about the internal capacity. Inside, notice this 300 here. This 300 you'll take for the internal. This distance from here to here internally would be this 300. You would subtract 10. And be left with 290. Y10, so here 5 centimeters will be lost, and here 5 centimeters will be lost, so 10 centimeters will be lost. Here the same thing, the distance from this end to this end. Here 5 centimeters will be lost due to the thickness, and 5 will be lost. So the internal length from face to face here for the here would be what? 180. And then of course the height, of course 5 centimeters will be lost from the 160. Notice it's opened up, so it's just 5 centimeters will be lost. So we'll have, this would be 155. So hence the volume, multiply all of that, we get 8091. Right, centimeters cube or cubic centimeters. Part B, the volume of wood needed to make this trough. Let's go back to the diagram. The volume of wood needed, notice, okay. Notice how many pieces of face. Now we have 1, 2, 3, so 4 faces round, and then now the base would be another face. So we have 5 faces. Let's work out the volume. Now for this face, of course, this is 300, so 300. So of course, this is length times breadth times height. So for this face, the length times breadth times height would be 300 times, so it's 160, right? Times 160 times 5. That gives us what now? 300 times 160 times 5. We end up with 240,000. This is 240,000 cm cube. And of course, this opposite would be the same. Alright, for this piece, again, length times breadth, so it's 160 times 190. This piece. This piece would be, volume would be 160. Same length, we're using the same volume formula, LBH, alright. 160 times 190 times 5. We end up with what now? 160 times 190 times 5. We end up with 152,000 cubic centimeters. The opposite would here, this piece would be the same 152,000, right? And the base, let's do the base now. The base, the bottom of the box there, that piece of would be about 300 times 190. And remember, it's 5 centimeters thick, right? So times 5, of course. So the volume for 5 different faces, right? Each of them would have a height of 5 centimeters. When laid flat, since the thickness of the ply is 5 centimeters. So that's 300 times 190 times 5. We end up with 285,000. But of course, since it's opened up, of course, it's just 285,000. So the volume of wood needed would be 285,000 plus 2 times 152 plus 2 times 240. So, in answering this question, would be 285,000 plus, alright, what was it again? 2 times 240, 2 times 152. And of course, this would be equal to so the volume needed to make all 5 faces will be 1,069,000 cubic centimeters. Next, Farmer Brown must paint the internal surface of the trough. Given that 1 gallon of paint covers approximately 280,000 cm square of surface, determine the number of paint, the total amount of paint in liters that is needed to paint the internal surface of the trough. So remember that the internal surface was let's see what it is, because we need to find the internal surface area. Now let's revisit the shape. Now there's the shape. So let's determine the internal surface area, and again, notice is 5 pieces, right? And each piece of this piece, internally is with 290, we did it already, 290 times 180 due to the thickness, so it's 290 internal, 290 times 180, right, as we have here, subtracting the 5 centimeter thickness. So the base will be 290. So base here will be 290 times 180, right? 290 inside times 180. The side piece here, of course, will be 155, right? Subtracting the 5 centimeter thickness from the 160. What's the other side now? So we have all sides now. So the internal surface area. So the internal area, right? Our internal area here. So for the base is 290 times 180 plus this side will be 180 times 155, but this opposite is also the same. So it's 2 times 180 times 155. Since the opposite side over here would have the same area. And then this side, of course, now will be 290 times 155. So the total area, let's use our calculator, do the calculation here. Well, of course, this times 2, since this area up here is the opposite. Again, 290, 155. The opposite face would have the same area. Good. So, of course, we'll multiply that by 2. By 2, right? So, we end up with 197,900 square centimeters. Just hold on. So internal area was 197,900 square centimeter. So to get a number of gallons, so the number of gallons would be 197,900 divided by 280,000, since a gallon covers 280,000. So number of gallon is 0.707. To 3 decimal places. Alright, number of gallons, and we are told that 1 gallon is 3.7 liters. Therefore, number of liters needed now is 0.707 times 3.79. That's 2.68 liters using 2 decimal places, right? 2.68 liters. That's our solution.